Hello and welcome everyone to another Seer 365 session. I'm delighted to be joined today by some of the team from Vertex. And we live in interesting times. I think it's been a busy news day. Certainly, if you look at the front page of the BBC or your preferred news website, I think you'll see all of the stories point to a world of great uncertainty. So I'm delighted to be joined by you guys to talk through the Vertex O Series cloud and how that can help businesses in an increasingly uncertain world. Over to you, Debs.
Thank you, Rufus. Really, really appreciate it. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So I want to talk a little bit about, as Rufus said, there are some wild challenges going on in the world today as it relates to commerce and tax. And so we want to present today a little bit of information about sort of future-proofing your tax strategy among these global challenges. Before I start, I want to introduce you to our team. The Microsoft practice at Vertex has grown substantially over the last few years. With me today will be James Karst, who is one of our solutions engineers on the Microsoft practice. He runs that model for us globally. And Jessica Krasner, who is one of our top channel sales managers within the business as well. They're here with me today to talk a little bit about these solutions. So first and foremost, I want to talk to you a little bit about who Vertex is. So we've been in business for 45 years. We have 1,600 employees globally. One of the largest teams we have at Vertex within those 1,600 are those that are responsible for the day-to-day operation and knowledge base of our tax solution and making sure that those databases are kept up to date across the 20,000 plus jurisdictions around the world. Over 60% of our client base is made up of the Fortune 500. And I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle to recognize that we build our solutions for the most robust needs that are out there within the tax world. And so whether you're a small business, a medium business, or an enterprise, it's likely our solution has had to solve for your challenges in the past. We are a publicly traded company and have been for the last 6 years. We support a global engine with over 195 different countries supported in our solutions. We have more than 5,000 customers worldwide, and that's growing. And I think some of the things that help customers understand and even our partners understand who we are, when you think about the top 3 global hyperscalers in the world today, all 3 of them choose Vertex for their tax solution. And when it comes to the largest global marketplaces out there, if you do a search of largest global marketplaces in the marketplace out there today, we support the top 20. They are our customers. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit about the scale and scope and size of our organization and who we are to the industry. When we take a look at the verticals we support, manufacturing, wholesale, 2 of our top biggest. Communication is another huge one for us. Again, whether you're a small business, a medium enterprise, or all the way up to a global or enterprise partner or customer, our solutions can help support you through the needs of your business. So with that, I'd like to introduce James Karst, who's going to talk a little bit more about addressing some of the global challenges that are out there today. James, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Deborah. So, as you mentioned, right, hot off the press with the news today is, tariffs and, some of the changes in policy with our governments that are really impacting businesses. And so we wanted to touch on that and really describe how Vertex can, help support, some of that impact that the companies may experience. And Deborah, you might have to, there you go. Thank you. With the tariffs that are changing and actually, I think we may needed to have updated some of these percentages just from yesterday. So it's changing quite rapidly. And what we do know is, across these changes, really over 40% of the annual U.S. imports will be impacted, by these. So that I think we can safely say is really going to impact all of our businesses. Especially businesses that are located within the United States or maybe purchasing, internationally. And, as a result, if you're familiar with tariffs, right, that's really more of a direct tax where the governments are imposing those fees as businesses, receive those goods from customs. So, with Vertex, we really automate the indirect tax piece, which is a slightly different part of the business, but they are absolutely related. So what we wanted to really call out with this session is, how can we help support and provide information for you so that as your business changes and you're impacted by these tariffs, you're thinking about indirect tax, how those processes might be impacted, and how you can be prepared to solution for those. So with really, what are businesses doing to react to these tariffs, right? So as these get imposed, really, the first thing that we have here is increased risk for exposure. So anytime that as a business I might be buying things, the tariffs are obviously going to increase my price of cost of goods, which is really increasing my revenue. Anytime that happens, you could have an increase in exposure for indirect tax. The more you buy, the more tax you're supposed to spend, which then if you're not doing that correctly, the more exposure you have. So certainly if as a business, if you continue to consume these goods, you pay the higher increase in tariffs, you need to be concerned of making sure that your indirect tax processes are tight and correct. Otherwise, you could see additional exposure there. Depending on how you react to these, if you choose to potentially have change your sourcing locations where you're buying, instead of internationally, you buy more domestically within the U.S., you may add additional vendors and you're buying from different locations. That can increase your complexity for indirect tax as well. So now I need to know who are the vendors that I'm buying from, where are they shipping from, to ultimately determine the correct tax that I need to either pay those vendors or self-assess. And then the third thing is, if you're a company that, as your strategy or reaction to the tariffs, you choose, you're used to buying internationally and you choose to buy domestically to avoid some of the higher costs within tariffs, you could actually be eliminating a tax advantage. So within the United States, we have what we call a sales tax and a consumer's use tax. The sales tax is really when I buy something, this is the tax that I pay the vendor. But if the vendor doesn't charge me sales tax, which in many cases, if I buy internationally, is likely not the case, right? If the company that I'm buying from doesn't have a physical presence within my jurisdiction, they may not have to charge me sales tax, and therefore I self-assess use tax. And certain states actually provide a tax advantage for companies that self-assess use tax, because that's really volunteering to pay that tax. The vendor didn't charge you that, so therefore you volunteer and you self-assess that use tax. That discount can be as much as 5%. So again, as a company that's maybe buying more internationally, and as a result of the tariffs, you choose to buy more domestically, in certain jurisdictions, like in this one in St. Louis, Missouri, you could actually see a 5% increase just in the indirect tax that you're paying. So these three things, really should be top of mind as you react to these tariffs. Even though this is indirect tax, it's a different side of the house. There are implications and there could be challenges that are created depending on how you react to these tariffs. So with that, we wanted to really just, kind of segue more into Vertex and talk about, what it is that we do and what can we help with. So as I mentioned, we are an indirect tax automation provider. Indirect tax being, your sales and use tax in the U.S., but also VAT, globally. So any transactional tax that you either have to, charge on a sale or that you have to pay on a purchase. So we are heavily integrated to both those different parts of your business processes. And then on the right hand side, you can see the specific things that we help with. I'll just call out a couple of these that may not be top of mind when you think about implementing a solution like Vertex. So talking about the manual processes and the tax policy at the top, it's really difficult, as I'm sure most people know, to stay on top of these local jurisdiction tax changes. The tax rates in the U.S. change on a regular basis at the county and city level, but even globally within VAT, you'll see the VAT rates change. You'll see some policy changes around some of the going green or environmental friendly type goods and services where you actually can charge a reduced rate there. So those policies are changing, on a regular basis, and implementing a solution like Vertex will really streamline the responsibility of your team to do that. And then kind of further down, multiple system support. Many companies today don't just use, one billing platform. You may have an ERP system like D365, but you also have an e-commerce platform where you're selling online. You may have a point of sale solution, or you may have like a procurement portal where you're doing your purchasing separate from your ERP. It's important that you implement a tax policy and you're able to enforce that consistently across all of those systems. So with Vertex, that really allows you to do that. Most ERPs and platforms are not designed to properly support the tax calculations at the detail that they need. Implementing an API-based integration like Vertex allows you to integrate all of those in a consistent manner so that you can enforce your tax policy accordingly. So what does that solution look like, for Vertex? As I talked about on the left-hand side, it's really integrating to all the different parts and departments of the system or of the business, as well as the technical stack. So you have your e-commerce, your procurement, your billing processes. We can be integrated through one API and one solution, which is Vertex O Series, to do that calculation and tax determination properly. And then what we can also bring to the table is on the right-hand side, ensuring compliance, right? So we'll maintain all of that data so that you can report on that. We have built-in analytics that provides you that data, really ready-made in case of an audit. So you can look at our system really as a solution to help you defend yourself in audits, knowing that data is retrievable and backed up there. Also, real-time reporting, as well as periodic reporting. So we have solutions that tie into this calculation data and will automatically file your tax returns, regardless of where you are, filing across the globe, right? If you're in the United States, it's returns for all the different states. If you're globally, it's a return for each country, but they have all their different formats that you need to comply to. We have a single solution that's going to take that calculation data, automatically produce the right formats, and communicate that data to the proper, tax authorities. And within the next slide here, this really just kind of goes into more detail about our end-to-end solution, as we talked about integrating to the different, places that you sell or buy, taking it from within our solution. We can take it from the configuration component, making sure that our system is conformed to your specific business requirements. And then capturing that data so that ultimately we can, file and remit your tax liabilities that the system is calculating on your behalf. And at the bottom, you can see, as I mentioned, it's really taking it from U.S. sales and use tax compliance, the EU compliance, as well as also offering, e-invoicing as part of our solution. Not least, but one of the final things on this topic really here is just, talking about, why do businesses want to automate tax. And we've touched on a couple of these. It's a regulatory change, just the constant maintenance of that content. We've also touched on the audit preparedness, right? Having a solution that has those analytics built in, it makes it easy for you to access, but also think about it from an ERP migration and install perspective. Really allowing your business to implement and deploy these technologies faster, because you don't have to worry about the manual processes to set up and maintain the tax configuration. So we can really be part of a faster deployment cycle and encourage that as part of our solution, as well as ongoing maintenance going forward. So certainly keep those things in mind. It's not just about tax calculation and compliance, but also really just investing in your technology so that you can streamline those costs going forward. All right, and just discussing kind of on to the next topic, very key and common to be discussed today is the e-invoicing across the EU, right? So a lot of countries are looking to streamline their process to get more visibility and insight to the reporting of the transactions and the commerce that's happening within their countries. If you're B2C company or company that's selling mostly B2C, there's not a lot relevant to you on this map today, other than perhaps one country in Romania. If you're in B2B, this is absolutely something that you need to be aware of if you're not already, and looking to solution for, right? So these mandates are happening Again, mostly for B2B business or B2G. Certainly this information is really for your benefit so that you can see what countries are coming out next with their mandates and begin to get prepared. And so then if you could go to the next slide here, Deborah, as a result of the of those mandates, right, Vertex looks at this as an opportunity to provide a comprehensive end-to-end solution where we're not just here, if we're already there, calculating the VAT, helping you determine the proper VAT to collect from your customers and on your purchases, and we're helping you, file those VAT returns within these different countries. It only makes sense that we also are able to solution for you, the e-invoicing component. So again, you can have one single provider that's handling all of your indirect tax, process challenges. And so what we offer today is an e-invoicing platform that integrates with a single API to all the different billing cycles or systems that you may use. It transforms that data from that single API at the transaction level, and it's able to communicate those to the different tax authorities, really regardless of their required format. So streamlining that process, you don't have to interpret this technology, and again, providing that through one single platform for all the different countries. And then also as one single platform for all of your indirect tax processes. I will caveat that, from a D365 perspective, we are building that specific integration so that it's out of the box with your Microsoft ERP. That's something that we anticipate to come and will be available to market later this year. All right, and then so we wanted to touch on our Microsoft solutions and first our Microsoft partnership. So we are a long-time ISV partner of Microsoft. So starting kind of on the left-hand side of this slide, we have the D365 investments that we've made as a company that really go all the way back to AX 2012, GP as well, where we've been building, maintaining these D365 or Dynamics integrations with internal resources that we have within Vertex. We're part of the ISV Success Microsoft programs. We're available on the Azure Marketplace as well as AppSource. So really participating in all the great Microsoft partner programs from a D365 and BizApps perspective. All the way to the point where we have the innovative leadership where Microsoft invited us to be a part of and co-develop the new tax calculation service, which is a new framework for tax within D365 and allows us to provide a better integration experience. So over the last 2 years, we've co-developed that with Microsoft, and we're currently the one and only tax provider that provides an integration to that service. And then on the right-hand side, trusted by Microsoft, it's really a three-way type partnership that we have here. So of course, Microsoft is a vendor of ours. We're an ISV partner from a D365 perspective. But most importantly, Microsoft, trusts Vertex as their vendor to support their indirect tax needs and processes. So the same solution that we're talking about today, the global solution, the content and capabilities, is the same solution that Microsoft is using for all of their internal needs to calculate their taxes. Drilling in just a little bit more on D365 and that tech stack. So we support all of the primary solutions that either buy or allow you to buy or sell things, right? So D365 Finance, Commerce, Business Central, Sales, all of those have a pre-built integration that's offered by Vertex, built and supported by Vertex resources. So these are plug and play solutions that you can integrate into your solutions so you can take advantage of the great value that Vertex offers. With our solution, because if you can imagine, right, we integrate via an API into your order management processes, and that in the background there is a cloud-hosted solution that we call O-Series, and that's the brain of the system that's doing all the calculations. And we offer a very flexible deployment style. One of the options, of course, is to host that solution in our Azure tenant. And what that does is it really improves performance, reduces latency, increases reliability, because our solutions are sitting within the same cloud as your D365 billing systems as well. So from a technical perspective, provides a lot of efficiencies there. But also it can maximize spend. So our solution being within the Azure cloud allows us to offer that on the Azure Marketplace, and therefore you can take advantage and purchase that, alongside your Azure contract, and leverage your Mac credits to potentially buy those additional solutions. And I will caveat that last piece, of course, is coming soon. We are on Azure. We're available for that today, and we're going through some internal processes to adapt and allow for transactions through the marketplace. We expect that to be anytime here this year. And then last but not least is deployment flexibility. In addition to Azure, we support and offer our solution through other clouds, but also through we offer Vertex Edge, which is a edge computing type style and framework. This allows you to containerize your solution and deploy it literally within the client's tenant, whatever that might be, or even locally. So we see a high demand in this edge computing, especially for companies that have brick and mortar retail. So like point of sale stores, they may want to provide full offline capability, and therefore they need to calculate tax locally. Our edge computing allows you to do that in a very light type deployment, but it's scalable. It's comprehensive so that it can calculate all of your taxes locally and automate that synchronization. So having that flexibility to have either a single cloud deployment solution, or you can deploy that locally or have any flexibility and framework that you desire is extremely important, especially for some of our massive retail companies that we support. All right, and with that, I'll transition it over to Jess to talk about partnering with Vertex.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it. So I appreciate the time because I get to talk about one of my favorite things, which is partners, and talking about the reasons why I think it's important to partner with Vertex. I'm going to start with a story that came to me right when I started Vertex, and I think it's an important story that kind of establishes who we are as an organization. So we're going to call it the customer chair. So if you ever get the opportunity to visit us in the Philadelphia suburbs, we would love to have you. And one of the things you'll notice as you go into our building is that in every conference room in that building, all of the chairs in the conference rooms are the same color, except for one, which you're probably thinking is an odd design choice, but there's a reason behind it. That chair is a different color because from a mentality standpoint, even if there's not a customer in the room with us, we want to be reminded at all times that every decision we make, every choice, every product, everything we do on a daily basis is really for our customer base, right? And when I first started and I heard this story, you're kind of skeptical. You think to yourself, well, that's a great thing to say. I hope it's true. And I can tell you without a doubt, at every turn with this organization, I've heard that sentiment reiterated consistently. And all the decisions that we make are really driving that mentality of customer first, right? Meeting our customers where they are. And you'll see that in the solutions as they evolve, because we're really listening to our end users to find out what do they need? Where do they need us? Even in times like this that James mentioned, with a lot of uncertainty that's happening, how can we be of assistance to them, even if it's just a small part of the things that are going on overall? So I wanted to highlight that because I think it really sets the table for who we are organizationally and from a partner standpoint. And that also kind of shows itself into a little bit of a bold statement, I think, from me. But I would be remiss if I didn't think that it was true. So maybe not today, but I would venture to guess at least this week, chances are you've had your tax calculated by Vertex in some way, shape, or form, right? Whether you've purchased a coffee, you've bought something online, you've had something delivered to your house, you have downloaded an app to your phone, regardless of where it is, chances are very good that you've already had tax applied from Vertex. And you probably didn't notice it. It came on your, your digital invoice the way it was supposed to. That's essentially how we work, right? We're working and functioning in the background to make sure that you as an organization are as compliant as possible. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that because I would venture to guess you've already experienced us time and time again. You just didn't know it. And that's really kind of the goal, right? That we're working in the background to support our customers in the best way possible but it is completely seamless to customers as they use us, right? Just to kind of highlight a couple other things on this list, I am always blown away by our customer support, whether it be through the implementation process or as we go, as you go live and you're utilizing our solutions. We really do everything we can to support. It goes back to that process of we have some of the largest organizations in the world leveraging our solutions. So we have to be there for them when they need us, how they need us, and as fast as they need us to be able to support them. And the great news is that no matter what size of an organization you are, like Deb said, giant enterprise organizations or smaller organizations that are getting their start and selling online or whatever it might be, that support is the same, regardless of who you are, right? The product is designed to support those large organizations, but we come down market to make sure that you are supported as well as possible. So that goes down to that consistent and predictable pricing. We do have a different model than some of our competition. We can always talk about that more. But I think what's great about that, especially in these uncertain economic times, something that you can rest assured of is not going to increase out of nowhere without your knowledge and really, impact your budget. That's probably already very, very tight, right? This is something that we strive to do all the time. We want our customers to feel very comfortable that they bought the best product and that that pricing isn't going to change. And then, like I said, we want to meet you where you are. So as you see our product evolve, you'll see us meet you where you are and have the technology to back that up. So Deb mentioned this in the beginning. I like to talk about this in terms of that we've spent the last 45 years building epic trust, one partnership at a time. So it's really about us and our partners trusting each other and then bringing that trust to our customer base to make sure that they are in the best position possible. Even though in terms of a giant ERP implementation, tax is a small piece of that puzzle, it is crucial that it's right, that you're getting that right every time. So we want to make sure that we are building that trust at every layer, right? And our partnerships is where that starts. So it's extremely important to me as one of the partner managers here. I want to make sure that our customers and our partners believe in us the way we believe in ourselves going forward. So, we've got a laundry list of great things about the organization. I think it's an amazing opportunity to leverage and team up with us, to really ensure that your customers are as well taken care of as possible. So this is a little bit of a snapshot into some of the partner benefits that come with joining up into our partner network. For those, I focus, and as Deb and James do, primarily on the Microsoft channel. We have channels across different organizations, but from our perspective, we really believe we've put together a partner program that really enables our partners to be able to do as much as humanly possible when it comes to this product. The one word I would use, and I'm blown away by this on a daily basis working here, is the one word I would use is resources. So on the night you go to bed and you have not joined up from a partner perspective with us, you don't have resources. It's kind of a tough thing. The next day when you have decided to join up with us, the resources are immense. Deb, James, and I are just the very small tip of a very large iceberg of resources that are now available to you as you join up with us from a partner perspective, right? We have subject matter experts and folks upon folks that are available to you and your client bases to be able to help. I am meeting people on a daily basis that I'm blown away by. So that's the one thing, if you take nothing else away from sort of the partner benefits, and there are lots of them, and this is just a small piece of that, the resources that you can now leverage to help your customers is pretty outstanding. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that for sure. And next steps, obviously we want to get in contact with you, right? If you've listened to this listened to this presentation, there are lots of ways to get in contact with us. Please, James, Deb, and I are just the beginning parts of a much larger team. We've got folks for you to talk to. Please reach out to us. There's lots of opportunities for that. To follow us, schedule a meeting. We'd love to chat with you. Always book a demo if you're interested. It's very, what we've talked about from a product perspective is great, but it's a different animal when you get to see it live. Personally speaking, I think it's a great opportunity to become a Vertex partner. So it's myself and another counterpart of mine here in the Microsoft channel. We'd be happy to talk you through that and see what steps you need to take to do that. And then the team is really doing a great job to make sure that you can transact on the Microsoft marketplaces. So again, meeting you where you are. We want you to be able to transact the way that's best for your business. And so that's a big part of that. And this team is heading to Las Vegas coming up April 7th through the 9th. So we would love to chat with you if you're going to be there. You can use this QR code to schedule a meeting with us. And legitimately, the only caveat to this is that you have to talk to us. But you do get a pair of Beats headphones if you sign up. So come chat with us. We promise we're a lot more fun than, even this conversation around sales tax. You're going to really enjoy us. Plus, you get to meet some of the members of the team, I think, and you'll get to know us a little bit better even then. So use that QR code. Please sign up, take the Beats headphones, and have a good conversation with us. And thank you all so much for taking time with us.
Absolutely.
No, that was absolutely excellent, and thank you all for presenting on Vertex. A really, really interesting session. If there is anyone who would like to ask any questions, please do feel free to put them in the chat now. James, I think you made a really, really good point in the presentation that it's not just the US. It's not even just now. Like all across the world, there are changing trading conditions. And partners and ultimately end customers need to be prepared for those in a kind of a proactive way. One question from me to the team, I guess from a partner to end customer perspective, what should partners be on the lookout for in their customer that kind of suggests they might need Vertex?
Sure. It's an interesting conversation because realistically, one of the first things that I look at is, are you selling into multiple areas, right? Whether it be states here in the United States, countries worldwide, those types of things. Like we're looking for a little bit of complexity, right? You as an organization have different sales mechanisms, right? You don't just sell T-shirts in one place to one group of people always, right? You've got some variance within the group. I would say also, if you're selling online, right, you have an e-commerce platform of some sort, in addition to your Microsoft ERP, that's a really solid indication that you will probably find yourself in some tax complexity because your bandwidth is expanding, right? You've got a lot more people that you're able to reach with those channels, which is awesome for business, but it does cause a little bit of complexity when you think about a tax process. So those are some key indicators. I think just is the business in a growth mentality, which I think most businesses are. And then as they are starting to expand, what are the areas? And it's always going to just at least take a look, have a conversation with us. And we can kind of help them figure out, is it now or are we looking to this for future state?
Yeah, Justin, I would just add to that, from a VAT perspective as well. Just like, within the US, the more regions that you sell to, the more complicated things get. But also if you do intercompany and cross-border supply chain, that gets really complicated from a VAT perspective. It's just managing the fulfillment, the origination, and the destination, and which VAT do I need to collect and which VAT do I need to pay it to, and how do I report on that data? If your customers are experiencing those challenges, that's something that Vertex can help with, and that's usually an area where the ERP kind of falls short or it isn't able to do as well as users would like.
Brilliant. No, thanks both. And yeah, thank you for your time today. At the risk of dating this webinar, have a lovely time at Directions North America. Please do seek these guys out. And as Jess said, there's some great opportunities there. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Oh, should we bring up the QR code one more time? There we go. And yeah, we will end on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to Seer.